Anyway, last time we talked narrative, so if you didn't catch that video, be sure to watch part 1. But for now, we're going to be moving on and talking power scaling.
Yay, we get to go over this shit again.
Hopefully for the last time.
This one's a lot wonkier and way more... it's just a bigger mess right now.
Unless that hopefully this video will clear up. But, that all comes with this series being shoddily written overall. It's at its worst here. People like call Superman inconsistent, but I don't think they've ever watched the Tournament of Power all the way through in one sitting.
There's a bunch of scenes where Goku, being, as strong as he is, gets jobbered by a bunch of fodder and needs help. Or, he needs to power up for it, but... that's...
That being said, we could really chalk up showings to inconsistency and garbage writing, but that's not what we're here to do, so we're going to be going over feats and statements anyway.
At least on the bright side, I didn't have to do this, but Taft did. He had to rewatch DBS for, just to make sure all his information was correct, so, at least pay a little bit of attention to it. He doesn't want to have to go in the comments to debate this.
So before we get that far, let me address the prodigy point. Now, it's a mix of writing and bad scaling to begin with, so it kind of fits in the intro. So, Khalifa being a prodigy doesn't really excuse her not following the rules set in the series. More inherent talent doesn't equate to easier access to forms. Even Broly, who's probably the most protological Saiyan, aside from Gohan, had to gain the forms properly, and Gohan himself did, so it's really just a weak point. Don't bring it up.
Can we just address the manga scaling instead?
Eventually. Let's move on.
So, Khalifa is stronger than Kava, right?
Yeah, Khalifa was stated to be above Kava as a Super Saiyan. We see Kava say perhaps, but let's just be generous and say it's accurate.
And how strong is Kale?
Oh boy. So, as we mentioned in the last video, outside of her female Broly state, she has almost no feats. All we can say is that she can't beat Napapa in her base.
Yeah. And that was the guy who lost to Basil, right?
Actually, the two are about even.
Didn't Basil lose to Boo, right?
Yeah, he did. He lost to Mr. Boo, who's weaker than he was during the arc named after him.
And you hate that arc.
Well, it's bad. But, back to Kale. That places her base below Super Saiyan 2 tier, and that's base Super Saiyan 2 from the Boo saga at that.
Which seems pretty low for DBS.
It's actually even lower than that, because she's not even as close to as strong as them. Napapa beat her in her base effortlessly, and Khalifa was actively struggling to save her while in a Super Saiyan form. So that means that Kale's base is actually weaker than Khalifa's base, which isn't even as strong as Super Saiyan 2, because she barely won.
Man, the U6 Saiyans suck ass.
Not at first. Well, not at first. Keep in mind that the first time they fought, Kale whooped Goku's ass.
I keep forgetting that Goku's actually a massive jobber. Didn't Kale also tank the Kamehameha he fired off in his blue form?
That she did. And then she was one-shotted by Jiren.
And what does that exactly mean for the power scaling and feats and whatnot?
Actually, it means literally nothing, because it's contradicted 2 episodes later, when Goku is low on stamina, and Khalifa has just gained hers back.
Joy. And then episodes later, her defeating the Pride Troopers took a lot out of her, didn't it?
Yeah, and Goku beat her with ease. She didn't even stand a chance until she rose to meet his level.
And she can do that?
Saiyajins can get stronger through battle, but it's at its most extreme in Dragon Ball Super.
That's dumb.
Anyway, after Kale attempts to fight Super Saiyan 2 Goku, and she doesn't help that much, at least at first.
So tired Goku could stand up to both of them, despite him losing in his blue form?
Yes, that's exactly the case. And while being low on stamina means that Goku is low on power, as that's how it works in Dragon Ball, this makes him losing even less impressive.
I see.
And it's pretty well established as a rule, given that Frieza's loss of stamina resulted in him losing ki. Goku mastered Super Saiyan in order to fight, and better, due to having better stamina, and being able to fight at his full power for longer periods.
Aren't there people willing to argue that those rules don't actually exist?
An argument that there is no consistency at all.
Sounds wonky.
I'll call it weak. Even in the Boo arc, where with its shitty scaling, it was at least consistent that stamina mattered.
Super Saiyan 3, right?
Yeah, so Goku was the king of drained stamina in that arc, and when it was gone, he couldn't maintain any transformation. So it's weird that he's able to do it multiple times during the tournament power, and even regain stamina when using his reserves, which should make him lose it.
But this isn't a video about Goku.
That's fair. So let's get back to Kale. Gleefla's power increased overall, is the point I was trying to get at. However, Kale's power remains static, and she simply gains greater control over her legendary form.
And this is going to be something we've said multiple times, so you want to give a quick summary?
Alright, sure. So in her controlled state, she's about as strong as Gleefla. That's why she had about an even performance against Goku when he was tired. In her controlled state version of her normal form, she far surpasses Kafla, but is still weaker than weakened Super Saiyan God Goku, who spanked her during their encounter.
So you considered Goku weakened?
Oh yeah, he states himself that he's using higher forms to push himself in order to, basically train himself to operate in higher transformations with lower stamina, which means he's not actually regaining any strength during their fight. He's just pushing himself to fight in higher forms.
God damn it.
Speaking of...
Kafla?
That's right. So, now we've been over this countless times as well. More than I even care to go over here, but again, we're going to try to keep it short and sweet. These characters are a fusion of mismatched power. And in Dragon Ball, when you fuse and your keys are not the same, even though the Potara allows you to fuse regardless, unlike the Metanoid fusion, your strength will not be as drastic as if you were equal. So that's why someone like Vegito is incredibly strong in comparison to Goku and Vegeta, whereas someone like Kibito Shin or Elder Kai barely got a boost, if you want to argue that got any boost at all. And this also goes the same for Zamasu in the manga.
But it's not that weak.
Yes. And her beating Goku is opposite to the God forms being greater than fusion, which was a statement from the first arc. But I did a whole video on that. But anyway, base Kafla claps Goku in his Super Saiyan God form. He goes blue, she goes green, she claps him again.
There you go.
He uses Kaioken, then gets clapped one more time.
Then Ultra Instinct.
According to Whis, Kafla's energy is similar to that of the Gekidama.
Isn't that the one from 8 People, right?
Yeah, that one. And that's the one that also apparently replenished Goku's energy after his fight with Jiren. So either the energy is equal to Goku in his Kaioken state, or it's equal to his initial Ultra Instinct state. Whichever you prefer.
Moving on.
In terms of reaction speed, Goku's much faster, but Kafla's power has the ability to damage him.
So he's weak.
Well, apparently he was having trouble attacking. Physically, after, attaining Ultra Instinct, his punches were probably weaker than they were in his Kaioken state, because Kafla completely laughed them off.
Didn't she also state that her power was rising, or something along that? Which would then, contradict with the Jiren fight?
I'm saying something. So she was stated numerous times to have her strength be continuously rising throughout the fight, which would also mean that she just eclipsed the power from before. And while this doesn't really make any sense, Goku did still manage to defeat her, and this is Goku in his second UI state, not even his complete UI state. So in the grand total of things, she's not actually that strong compared to him or Jiren.
Yep. Despite, the massive threat that she posed, massive, she can't hit Goku, and then she loses.
And during that fight, Piccolo did say that her current level surpasses Goku's earlier level, which would be the Ultra Instinct against Jiren, the first time. How he knows this is anyone's guess.
But the Kamehameha.
Now, while she did completely endure that Kamehameha with no seeming damage, it is important to keep in mind that that Kamehameha was intended to KO her, not kill her.
Alright, and then what about the Potara?
Now, according to Vados, it's Fusey times Fusey tens of times, which in a weird way makes sense with what I was saying earlier, that because Kale and Kefla, regardless of what transformation they fused in, one of them is massively weaker than the other, so that would drag down the total of the fusion, whereas two equivalents fusing and then getting a 10 times boost would be much more massive.
Man, I remember when this stuff made sense.
Now, to bring it home, we get to talk about the manga. In the manga, base Kefla is stronger than base Kappa, and then SSJ Kappa wrecks her, just stomps her shit.
Nice.
But he takes her potential to its limits before the tournament power, and it's revealed that she learned Super Saiyan off screen. No contradictions to the lore, just feats.
And then in the last video, you mentioned Kale was actually pretty strong.
Yeah, so in just her base form, she moves too fast for Super Saiyan Kappa to see, stealing a necklace right out of his hands. and her attacks hurt Frieza more than Kafla's did in her own Super Saiyan form.
And in her Broly form?
Now, she's shown to stand up against Frieza, but she did catch him off guard, and Blue Goku isn't actually worried about her, and when her power is stabilized during the Kafla fusion, they're only about equal to Gohan, which makes sense. Kafla would barely contribute to that fusion.
So every problem with these characters was due to Toei's incompetent writing. Is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. In the end, Kafla and Kayla just poorly written, poorly thought out, poorly developed, and part of a lackluster arc, ruining concepts, taking up screen time, running power scaling, and not having the guts to stay fused. And that, my dear viewers, is the truth.
This is going to be an important part of the video. You can like them. We don't care.
I like Kafla myself.
And just as a final note, we've also made a good, number of videos on this. And really the arguments on both sides haven't really changed too much, especially on the opposing side. We've listened and this has been debated for a while now, and we want it to end. So note that we're essentially, this is going to be the last time we debate on this topic, at least for a good long while. So, as the anime says goodbye to Kafla, so will we. And
so, here's to hoping for a healthier Dragon Ball community now this video is out. Note that I'm tired of these female Saiyajins, and be sure to join us next time for the truth about the Tournament of Power.
Wait, what?
Hey, don't worry about it. Also, this guy had the right idea when he talked about what Kafla and Kale were good for.
Oh, man.
I hope you guys enjoy the credits. This has been TAF 108.
And Victory.
Catch you guys later.
Bye-bye.